This is a fast-moving story, as you can anticipate. So right now, you were just mentioning that model. It's important to note what it actually is. It's from the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, or CSIR, and it is a government agency, has a 2% margin of error, and in the past has been quite accurate. And so what it is showing, as you were mentioning, ANC right now, based on the votes cast, is on course to win 42% of the vote in Wednesday's national election. And that is right now, we're just at about just over 12% of voting districts that are counted, which is important to note. And as you mentioned, this would potentially, if this continues, would be the first time that the ANC does not get this majority, and potentially could be the reason why we are seeing the reaction in the dollar, or in the rand, excuse me. The model is also showing some interesting stats. It shows the main opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, likely to win just over 22% of the vote nationally. The EFF, which we've been speaking about quite a bit, just over 9%, and former President Jacob Zuma's party just over 12%. And so, as I mentioned, you know, it's still relatively early, but clearly having an impact on investor sentiment.
Okay, let's talk about that investor sentiment, Jen. Why is the possibility of a coalition making investors nervous?
Right. So, Guy, we had been talking about this leading up to the election, and it really was not the base case scenario that we would potentially see the ANC dip below the 50%. And that is because, really, if we look at the local level across South Africa, coalition governments have been quite unstable. And so investors were a little bit jittery about if this were to happen, that the ANC gets below this threshold, they're going to have to partner with some of the smaller opposition parties, not necessarily the main opposition party, the Democratic Alliance, which is a bit more market friendly. And so that really is part of the reason why we are seeing the rand down weakening by as much as 1.6% against the dollar. We're also seeing the Johannesburg Stock Exchange tumble, and it just seems like the volatility may continue until we get a bit more clarity whether or not the ANC, or where the ANC falls in terms of their percentage of support, but then also what does a coalition potentially look like. If it is one of the smaller parties like the EFF, they may demand or ask for more say over the economy, potentially ministerial positions. And so it seems like investors are watching quite closely as to what this could actually mean moving forward.